Hello, it's your boy Davidoff. Now, before you tell me that there's actually 12 Star Wars movies, first of all, I'm not doing the Clone Wars. I watched the movie, but I'm not putting it in the ranking because honestly, I don't know where to put it. It's not because of animation. I like animation. It's just I don't know where to put it, honestly. I kind of like it, but it's also not that good, so I'm just like, where would I put this? Then I thought I'd just leave it out. So we're doing 11 live action movies. And also, I'm not going to explain too much. The main purpose of this video is to tell you where I ranked each movie. So, just so you know. At number 12, I literally just said 11. At number 11, we have Attack of the Clones. For me, this is comfortably the worst Star Wars movie. Now, you might turn at me and say The Last Jedi or The Rise of Skywalker, which I understand. I understand you. Fair enough. But despite the fact that the sequels were inconsistent, I still think, if you look at each movie individually, the prequels, the first two prequels, are the worst of Star Wars, in my opinion. And for me, Attack of the Clones is at number 11. It's at the bottom because I just don't think it's a good movie. There's not much to like about it, and it just doesn't work for me. And in 10th place is The Phantom Menace, for the same reasons. I don't think it's very good. To be fair, I like it more than Attack of the Clones. There are more things to like about The Phantom Menace, but it's still not very good to me. So it's in 10th place. In 9th is Solo. Yes, Solo is in 9th place. Now this movie isn't necessarily that bad, but it's also not good, and for me it is the most unnecessary movie in the Star Wars universe. Like seriously, what was the point of making this? Nothing against the cast or whoever made the movie, nothing against them. There were some good performances in there. Donald Glover was fantastic as Lando. He's the main reason that was any good. But we did not need a movie about Han Solo. It wasn't necessary. There were so many stories they could tell in the Star Wars universe that were more interesting to do. Han Solo is a cool character, but it needs to remain more of a mystery. And to do movies for him, it wasn't the right idea. And it came out after Last Jedi, which, well, obviously it kind of affected it, and it didn't do well at the box office either. But I don't think it was that good. And it wasn't necessarily terrible. I just looked at it. When I was watching it, I was just like, I was just a little bored, really. I was just a bit fed up because, like, it didn't feel bad to me. But watching it, I got almost no enjoyment out of it, honestly. Aside from a few, like, high scenes here and there. So Solo for me is in 9th place. In 8th is The Last Jedi. Now, as a movie in itself, there are some good things about it, but even though I'm only a casual Star Wars fan, I was not a fan of the directions they took with certain characters, especially Luke. What they did with Luke in this movie was just not good. It was just not good. I understand taking risks. I can respect taking risks. Movies should take risks more often. Like, you could argue that movies play it safe too much. So I like when they take risks, but these risks in these movies just did not pay off. Did not work. What they did with Luke, other characters as well, they ruined the trilogy of that movie, in my opinion. If they kept it more consistent, and I think that's kind of why people like the prequels more now, because the prequels were at least consistent. Even though they're not as good, they were still consistent in one vision. This sequel trilogy, they changed things up so much, and The Last Jedi just broke the trilogy. They changed directors, which is a bad idea. You got to have one vision for a whole trilogy. You can't have a switch of directors for something as big as Star Wars. A new Star Wars trilogy, you got to have the same vision. It's such a big thing that you shouldn't mess up. But The Last Jedi messed it up for me. So yeah, I don't even hate the movie. It messed up the trilogy in my opinion. And that brings me on to number 7, which is The Rise of Skywalker. This movie wasn't necessarily that bad. I mean, it wasn't as bad as The Last Jedi, but it also wasn't very good. This movie, they put too much in it, and by the time you got to the end, which was arguably the best part of the movie, when you got to the end, I was just exhausted. I was just like, how's it gonna end then? Because at that point, I was just like a little bit fed up, to be honest. They put too much into the movie. They put too much into it. It was trying to be two things at once. First of all, it was trying to fix The Last Jedi, and it answered the questions of The Force Awakens. And it was also trying to be its own movie at the same time and trying to end the saga. it was all over the place, to be honest. They had some great characters. Rey, I think, was a good character from Force Awakens. Finn, I think, had a lot of potential to be a great character. Poe as well. Kylo Ren, I think, could have been a really cool villain in his own right. But they ruined all of them over The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. In my opinion, they set them up really well in The Force Awakens. But what came after that movie, they really messed up these characters. In number 6, we have Rogue One. Yes, this was a surprise movie, probably the biggest surprise of this list. This is actually pretty good. It wasn't like a great movie, but as a spin-off, I think it worked. It's like a prequel in a way. It's a bridge between the prequel trilogy and the sequel trilogy, and I think it was quite nice for what it was. A lot of it wasn't that good, but the last half an hour or so, I think, or last hour, was brilliant. And that Vader scene was one of the best Vader scenes I've ever seen. Like, that scene was worth the ticket price on its own. That Vader scene at the end was immense. Absolutely immense. So yeah, good movie, not great, but Rogue One is in 6th place. In 5th, Revenge of the Sith. Yes, I love this movie. I really love this movie. I think it's, people do hate the prequels. I mean, they like them more now, but like, prequels used to get a lot of hate. But for me, Revenge of the Sith was a big improvement on the previous 2 prequels. I think it was a great movie. I loved it. There are some things here and there that are not that great, but overall I think it's fantastic. There's a lot of emotion in it, and you get to see the birth of Darth Vader, obviously. And I love the whole duel between Obi-Wan and Anakin. I love that entire scene. And this movie is in a way underrated, but I just think in general it's a really great movie. And if I want to rewatch Star Wars again, what I'll do is I'll just watch this one, then watch Rogue One, then this one, watch Revenge of the Sith, Rogue One, the main trilogy, and Force Awakens, and that's it. That's it. That is my story. Just end it at Force Awakens and let my imagination choose what happens after Force Awakens. Yeah, that's how it can work. That's how it would work. Speaking of Force Awakens, it's in 4th place. Yes, I think it's a great movie. I think they set up a trilogy really well. What came after was not good, but the movie itself, Force Awakens, I think was a great sequel, and I think it worked for what it was, and I think it could have set up something great, but it didn't. But the movie itself, in its own right, in my opinion, was still good. And I think people will like it more if the sequels are better. But unfortunately they weren't, and they kind of ruined The Force Awakens. But still, for me, Force Awakens as a sequel, as the first sequel after the main trilogy, in my opinion, it works. And I think it's a great movie, and they set up a lot of great characters. There's some cool moments, some crazy moments, and I just think it's great, and I'd rewatch it multiple times. The Force Awakens is a worthy successor. On to the top 3, and it's obvious what it is. I haven't mentioned it yet, but it's the main trilogy is the top 3. The main trilogy are the best Star Wars movies. In my opinion, whatever Star Wars do, whatever they have done, they will never make anything as good as the original trilogy. It's not going to happen. Like, there's no point of trying. No matter how great a Star Wars movie can get, it's not going to be as good as the OG trilogy. They're special, they're the originals, and they are great. And in order, in 3rd place, Return of the Jedi. That is still a good movie for me. It's the weakest one of the trilogy, but still a really good movie in my opinion. 2nd, A New Hope, and 1st, popular opinion, The Empire Strikes Back. So that's my ranking for Star Wars. If you disagree, be ranking down below. This was your boy Davidoff. Please like, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a good day, and see ya.